This is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1940 Walt Disney animated movie classic, Pinocchio.
Go ahead. Make a fool of yourself.
I don't think that's going to happen. This is going to be a great review. This is part of a series where I watch and review all the movies that have 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll give them a score of 1 to 10. After I watch them and score them, I'll rank them from worst to best. I started in the 1920s silent movie era, and now I am at 1940s with Pinocchio. So this is the only traditionally animated Walt Disney movie that has 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Toy Story 1 and 2 also have 100% fresh rating, but they are computer animated and they are Disney Pixar, so they don't count. Like I said, this movie does have a 100% fresh rating with the critics, but a 73% fresh rating with the audience, which is definitely on the lower scale that we have seen so far. So everyone knows what Pinocchio is about, but I'll go ahead and go through a synopsis. So we first meet Jiminy Cricket, who is singing When You Wish Upon a Star, which is one of the most iconic Disney songs ever. I would say if it weren't for Let It Go, it's probably one of the most iconic. Everyone knows that song, but they might not all know that it's from Pinocchio, but everyone knows that song. It's a really great way to start the movie. It's a really nice introduction. So he ends up kind of strolling in to Geppetto's house. Geppetto is a woodmaker.
Carved out of wood. Cute little music boxes, each one a work of art. Shelf after shelf of toys and...
He has a lot of clocks in his house, and basically his new project that he's taking on is building a wooden boy, which he names Pinocchio. So it is his wish that Pinocchio is going to be a real boy. In fact, one day a kind of a falling star is seen in the sky. Geppetto goes to the window and he wishes that Pinocchio would become a real boy.
Figaro, you know what I wished? I wished that my little Pinocchio might be a real boy.
Later on that evening, Pinocchio comes to life. He's not a real boy, but he is a boy made of wood. A fairy kind of comes down to him and says, if you are trustworthy, if you're honest, if you make the right choices, then maybe one day you will become a real boy. So this is kind of foreshadowing for us that if he does the right things, then yes, he will become a real boy. At the same time, Geppetto is seen, and the fairy asks if Geppetto wants to be Pinocchio's conscience, to kind of help him out and kind of lead him down the straight and narrow and make sure he gets to his goal of becoming a real boy. Of course, Jiminy Cricket accepts the role. He finds the fairy to be somewhat attractive, it seems, and it's not a reluctantly taking the role. He knows that this is a big job and that he has a really important thing to do here. So he takes on the role and he decides to be the conscience of Pinocchio.
Trouble with the world today.
Are you my conscience?
Who, me?
Would you like to be Pinocchio's conscience?
So the next day, Pinocchio is set off to go to school by Geppetto. He is then met by a fox named Honest John. Honest John notices that he is a boy made of wood, and he says, how can I capitalize on this? I know of just the guy who would like to have a wooden boy in his arsenal, in his collection.
Look, it's amazing. A live puppet without strings. A thing like that ought to be worth a fortune to someone. Now let me see. That's it! Stromboli!
So he convinces Pinocchio that he is going to make Pinocchio this big actor. And he says, let's go meet Stromboli. He's going to make you a big actor. You're going to be big and famous. Jiminy Cricket says, you got to tell him no. Like, remember, you have to make good decisions. You have to do what's right. And doing right is going to school. So you have to tell him no so that you can go to school, get an education, and then one day you can become a real boy. So right after he says that, he says, okay, great. He's going to make the right decision. And then we see Pinocchio strolling off with Honest John. Clearly, he has made the wrong decision. And as they're strolling away, they start singing a song called An Actor's Life for Me. And as soon as they started singing this song, the tune started playing in my head. And I thought, this sounds a lot like the song on the ride of the Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I haven't done any research into this, so I might be completely off. I might be completely wrong. I haven't been on Pirates of the Caribbean in a long time, but the melody and the lyrics sure sound like they could have been used to create the Pirates of the Caribbean song that we all know and love today. Anyway, so he goes and he becomes a sideshow attraction for Stromboli, in which Stromboli puts him on as the puppet who needs no strings. And he becomes an instant hit. Everyone loves him. And Pinocchio says, wow, that was a great show. I'm glad that everyone loved me. I'm going to go home to my dad. I'll come back in the morning and we'll do this again. And Stromboli says, no, you're not going home. You're mine. And he pretty much locks him in the cage. Jiminy Cricket finds him and he tries to pick the lock, but he's unable to. And then the fairy comes down and the fairy says, you know, what happened here? And Pinocchio starts telling a bunch of lies. And this is where his famous nose starts growing because he's telling the lies, and it ends up becoming like a bird's nest. And she says, well, I'm going to forgive you this one time because, you know, everyone should get one. Now you kind of see what the world is like and you kind of see the decisions that you should make. So I'm going to free you from your shackles and I'm going to let you back into the world and just go ahead and make good decisions now. So the minute he's freed, he starts on his journey home. At the same time, Geppetto is looking for him feverishly, like he hasn't eaten, he hasn't slept, he's just looking for his wooden boy. As Pinocchio is headed home, he is met again by Honest John, who has a new proposition for you. He has a new proposition for him. See, Honest John was at a Red Lobster Inn at a bar, and where he met this one guy, who this guy says, I'm looking for boys who I can take to Pleasure Island, and when I take them to Pleasure Island, they never come back as boys. And you're like, okay, what the heck is this guy? You know, this guy sounds like he's, I don't know if I would let little boys around this guy. So when Honest John meets Pinocchio, he says, oh my God, you look terrible. You look feverish. You have the allergies. The only solution, the only cure to your allergies is to go to Pleasure Island, where you can have fun with other kids. You can do whatever you want. There's no cops. There's no trouble. And then you can try to get rid of your allergies at Pleasure Island. So, you know, Pinocchio, not knowing how the world works, says, oh my God, I guess I got to go so I can get cured of these allergies. So he goes to Pleasure Island, where he meets another boy who is, you know, a bit gruff, a bit on the, you know, evil side, and they end up smoking and drinking and playing pool. All while this is going on, Jiminy Cricket's looking for him. Jiminy Cricket finds his way to Pleasure Island. He finds his way to Pinocchio, and he says, look, kid, you gotta stop doing this. You're never gonna be a real boy if you keep going down these bad paths. You have to go down the straight and narrow. You have to get yourself well. And Pinocchio says, I'm having fun though. This guy I'm with, he says, you only have one life. You gotta live it, YOLO stuff. And Pinocchio walks out and he's very ashamed. He says, okay, whatever. So he goes and he wanders into another room where there's just crates and crates of donkeys everywhere. It's just a room full of donkeys. And the donkeys start to talk, and we realize that these donkeys were the kids who were there. And now they're all turning into donkeys in which this gentleman is going to sell them and, you know, do whatever he wants with them. So
Come on, you folks, keep her moving. Lively there now.
That's why he was trying to get the kids to Pleasure Island so he could turn them into donkeys. He immediately runs back to Pinocchio, who says, oh my God, his friend has already become a donkey. Now Pinocchio has donkey ears and a donkey tail. He says, we got to get out of here. So they end up getting out of there, and they make it home to Geppetto, only Geppetto's not there. A note falls from the sky, and they read it, and they realize that Geppetto has been eaten by this whale. So they need to go save him. So Pinocchio decides he's going to go save Geppetto, and then Jiminy Cricket decides he's going to go with him. They end up getting inside the belly of the beast, where Geppetto, Figaro, and the goldfish are all there, having, like, they're still alive, they're living their life, they're fishing, they're whatever, and they end up getting rescued. They build a boat, they're able to get out of the whale's body.
Well, it's about time.
But Pinocchio is very seriously injured, saving Geppetto. In fact, I think he's probably supposed to be dead at this point. He's on the bed, and then miraculously he becomes a real boy, and that's pretty much the entire movie. At the end, he did what he was supposed to. He saved a life. He was selfless, and he became a real boy. So that is Pinocchio kind of summarized. So what do I think of this movie? This movie, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me. First of all, I love the fact that I get another color movie because I'm into 1940s and I'm still into the black and white movies. So it's nice to have a colored movie, a splash of color to watch. I love Walt Disney animated movies. I mean, I have a tattoo of the the hat that the Mad Hatter wears because I love Alice in Wonderland. I love The Lion King, Aladdin. So I'm a huge Disney fan. If you were to ask me which movie, if there was one movie that had 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes and it was a Disney movie, what would it be? I probably would guess Cinderella, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, maybe even Alice in Wonderland. There's a lot of movies I would say, maybe The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book is an important Disney movie. We'll get into that some other time, but it's probably one of the most important Disney movies that ever happened because it essentially saved Disney after Walt Disney died. But we can get to that at a different time. But there were a lot of movies I would say before Pinocchio. I might even say Dumbo before Pinocchio, to be honest. I just don't think of it as like a pillar of the Disney franchise, even though it is, because a lot of the great songs that people remember from Disney movies are in Pinocchio, and I just forgot that they were there. Movie as a whole, I love it. I think it has a great message that it's sending, that if you are a good person and you kind of do what you're supposed to and you go to school and you do all these things that a good person would do, then one day you will be rewarded in life. I'm not going to get into whether or not I believe any of that's true, but I think it's a really good message to send out to children who are basically the target audience of these movies. I think that the movie is a little weird, but that's to be expected with a Disney movie. I'm also thoroughly confused by the whole donkey thing. Now, I don't remember this as a kid. I haven't seen this movie since I was a child, so it's been a very long time. But I don't remember the whole donkey scene, and they never explain fully why these kids become donkeys or how they become donkeys or what that process is. I wish I would have known a little bit more about that instead of being just thoroughly confused as to, okay, now they're donkeys. But you need some leeway in a child's cartoon. Jiminy Cricket is honestly my favorite character in this movie. I think that might be a lot of people's feelings, is that he is the kind of the pillar of goodness. He is the conscience, and he is the character that kind of drives the story, that kind of moves things along as Pinocchio is wandering his way through a life that is somewhat new to him, where he doesn't know what's going on, he doesn't know how things work, and he's not allowing Jiminy Cricket to really help him. But then at the end, when push comes to shove, when he really needs it, then he kind of takes the advice. I'm kind of put off a little bit by Honest John. He, at first, he coaxes Pinocchio into coming with him. That's Pinocchio's fault. It's a little bit of naivety, but, Pinocchio made his decision after Jiminy Cricket said, hey, don't do that. But the second time, it's basically woodnapping. I don't know if I would call it kidnapping. But, they set up this implausible scenario where Pinocchio has this allergy, and they just scare him to where it's not really his decision anymore to go with these two. He feels like he has to because he's sick. But then once he gets there, it's his choice that he's going to smoke and he's going to drink and all that stuff. But it's he's a product of where he is. Everyone around him is doing this, and he is naive, and he's easily swayed by what other people are doing because other people say that this is what you should be doing. This is right. This is what feels good. And so that's what he does. He just goes along with it. And it's not until the end to where he really sees what the consequences of his actions were and how he kind of needs to turn things around. I don't even honestly know if he turned things around, really, if he knew he was supposed to turn things around. There was just something in his head that kind of clicked and said, I need to get us out of this situation, and that's kind of what did it. And then he becomes a real boy. So I don't know later on if he's going to make these decisions, these good decisions or not, or if he is just impulsive. It seems like maybe he's just going on impulse. But anyway, that's what I think of the movie. I don't think it's the best Disney movie for sure. it's not my favorite Disney movie, and I don't think it's the best. And I'm not 100% sure why it has 100% fresh rating over other Disney movies, but that is where we are. So as a movie, I mean, as an entertainment factor, it was pretty entertaining. It's a very well-made movie. I'm sure they remastered it multiple times because the quality of the movie, I watched it on Disney Plus, and the quality of the movie is just fantastic. I'm sure that it wasn't always this spectacular, especially since stuff from 1940s. I mean, it's obviously it's a different kind of movie that they're making, but it doesn't usually hold up like this. A lot of stuff I watch, it's definitely not as crisp and as, I mean, it seems like they could have made this today if they wanted to. It looks just as good as it would have. But I think that this movie, Pinocchio, to me, it deserves a solid 8 out of 10. I'm somewhere with the audience ranking. They gave it a 73%. Definitely doesn't deserve a 10 or 100%, but I will go with an 80. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.